Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends the second Asia-Pacific Civil Aviation Ministers' Conference. Prime Minister to proclaim the adoption of Delhi Declaration, a visionary roadmap to elevate the region's aviation sector to new heights. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky dismisses destructive China-Brazil peace initiative. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosts Paralympic heroes at his residence. India won 29 medals at the Paris Paralympics, setting a new record. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending the second Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation at the Bharat Mandapam in the national capital, New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also attended an exhibition at the Conference on Civil Aviation. India's Civil Aviation Minister, Kinjarapu Rammohan Naidu, was also present on the occasion. Later in the day, Prime Minister Modi will proclaim the adoption of the Delhi Declaration by all member states. The Delhi Declaration is a visionary roadmap to elevate the region's aviation sector to new heights. This conference and the adoption of the Delhi Declaration represents a significant step forward in advancing safety, security and sustainability in the Asia-Pacific civil aviation sector. The conference will bring together transport and aviation ministers, regulatory bodies and industry experts from across the Asia-Pacific region. The conference will focus on addressing key challenges such as infrastructure development, sustainability and workforce development, while fostering greater collaboration between the public and the private sectors. India's External Affairs Minister is in Geneva, Switzerland. The minister paid floral homage to Mahatma Gandhi. External Affairs Minister stated that Gandhi's message of harmony and sustainability is more relevant than ever in today's world of polarization and conflict. The minister will meet his Swiss counterpart to further enhance bilateral ties. During his conversation with Ambassador Jean-David Levet at the Geneva Center for Security Policy, the minister said that the global south has come together to be heard and valued worldwide.
The reason the global south has come together right now, and it was not coincidental, it happened during our presidency of the G20, was a feeling that their interests and their concerns were being neglected when bigger players or different players were busy with their own fights. And therefore, how do I get, how do I get heard? And when 120 countries come together, you get hurt.
From being an importer, India has turned into an exporter in the defense sector now. It's exploring defense equipments to more than 90 countries. It was highlighted by India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh at the Indian Air Force exercise Tarang Shakti 24 in Jodhpur. The Defense Minister also inaugurated the India Defense Aviation Exposition IDAX 24 on Thursday. It's one of the largest multinational air exercises being conducted by the Indian Air Force in the western state of Rajasthan. Tarang Shakti is aimed at enhancing operational coordination among friendly countries. While addressing the event, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh highlighted its goal to enhance operational coordination among the allied nations.
कुछ समय पहले तक भारत को आर्म्स एंड इक्विपमेंट के मामले में सिर्फ एक इंपोर्टर कंट्री के रूप में देखा जाता था, लेकिन आज भारत लगभग 90 कंट्रीज को आर्म्स एंड इक्विपमेंट एक्सपोर्ट करता है। इन्हीं सब का परिणाम है कि आज भारत अपनी ज़रूरतों के लिए डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रहा है, लेकिन इसके साथ ही साथ हम अनेक विदेशी इक्विपमेंट के पार्ट की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी अपने देश में कर रहे हैं।
The exercise has brought many birds of prey to the Indian skies for the first time to show off their impressive capabilities in this test of advanced capabilities. The event features aerobatic performances by Surya Kiran and Sarang teams with Tejas and Sukhoi stunts. Although the Indian Air Force has exercised with many of these platforms individually, the scope of the exercise Tarang Shakti puts many of these unique elements together, providing those involved with a very realistic and high-tech simulation of a conflict involving an enemy with advanced capabilities. Air Force chiefs from 7 countries are also attending the event, along with 3 Army chiefs of India and the chiefs of foreign air forces. 16 countries are also participating in the exercise as observers. The 5th edition of the exercise Al-Najah 2024 between India and Oman will be taking place at the Rabkut training area Salalah in Oman from 13th to 27th of September 2024. Themed together to uphold peace for a better tomorrow, the exercise aims to strengthen the joint military capabilities of both nations in executing counter-terrorism operations under the UN Charter. The exercise has been held biennially, alternating between India and Oman. Last edition of the exercise was conducted in the Indian state of Rajasthan. The contingent will comprise of 60 personnel represented by a battalion of the Mechanized Infantry Regiment, including staff from other arms and services. India's biotech sector is set to shine on the global stage with Global Bio India, a mega international event organized by the Department of Biotechnology and BioRac. The 3-day event will bring together national and international biotech stakeholders for collaboration, investment and knowledge exchange, driving the future of the bioeconomy. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya has more details.
The most awaited biotech event of the year, the Global Bio India 2024, is here. The 3-day event starting from 12th of September promises to be a hub for collaboration, investment and knowledge exchange, aiming to drive the future of bioeconomy.
There are a billion reasons to invest in India today, which is soon becoming a favorite destination. The reasons being that India has 60% share of global vaccine production. It has the second highest number of US FDA approved manufacturing plants outside the USA, and the opportunities for investments are available in biopharma, bioagri, bioindustrial, bioenergy, bioservices, as well as in the medtech. And therefore, to usher in a bio-revolution in India is synonymous to the IT revolution driven by the Western world.
The theme for this year's Global Bio India centers on biomanufacturing, bioinnovation and biotech startups, focusing on how biotechnology can address global challenges related to health, food security and sustainability. The event will see over 30 countries, more than 10 Indian states taking part. Also, more than 5,000 delegates, 500 plus exhibitors, 1,000 plus startups and more than 130 speakers are expected to make the event a grand success. It will showcase India's growing biotech prowess, foster international collaboration and present significant opportunities for innovation and investment in the bioeconomy. The Global Bio India 2024 is expected to play a major role in giving India's aspiration to become a global leader in the bioenergy sector. At the same time, it also expected to give wings to India's dream of becoming a 5 trillion economy and be a Viksit Bharat or a developed nation by 2047. With camera person Saurabh Bakshi, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for GD India from Delhi.
Shifting focus, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has dismissed a Chinese-Brazilian peace initiative aimed at resolving the conflict in Ukraine, calling it destructive. He expressed discontent with the exclusion of Kyiv from the discussion process. China and Brazil called in May for an international peace conference recognized both by Russia and Ukraine. Zelensky said that the proposal is just a political statement. Reacting to the 12-point plan put forward by Beijing earlier, U.S. said that China was presenting itself as a peacemaker but reflecting Russia's false narrative and failing to condemn its invasion. And in a latest update on the Ukraine-Russia war, Russian forces attacked energy facilities and civilian infrastructure in Ukraine's northeastern town of Konotop overnight, officials said in Sumy. According to the statement, the attack injured at least 13 people. On the other hand, Ukraine's Air Force said on Thursday that it had shot down 44 out of the 64 drones launched by Russia overnight. According to a statement posted on Telegram messaging app, the Russian forces also deployed 5 missiles. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken landed in Poland and held a meeting with the Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski on Thursday. Their discussions focused on bolstering support for Ukraine in its conflict with Russia and enhancing U.S. defense collaboration with Poland. Washington's top diplomat travels to NATO ally Poland following a visit to Kyiv, where he heard Ukrainian officials appeals to be allowed to fire Western-supplied missiles deep into Russian territory. Hamas has reiterated its readiness to implement an immediate ceasefire with Israel based on a previous U.S. proposal without new conditions on Wednesday. Hamas added that their negotiation team, led by senior official Khalil al-Hayya, met mediators on Wednesday, including the Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani and Egypt's intelligence chief Abbas Kamal in Doha to discuss the latest developments in Gaza. The previous proposal put forward by U.S. President Joe Biden in June laid out a 3-phase ceasefire in return for the release of Israeli hostages. Talks have so far failed to reach a deal to end the 11-month-old conflict. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the lack of accountability for the killing of UN staff and humanitarian aid workers in Gaza Strip is totally unacceptable. Ahead of the annual meeting of the world leaders at the UN General Assembly later this month, Guterres said that institutions have shown an enormous difficulty in making sure that accountability takes place.
In the case of Gaza, let's be clear, we must condemn firmly what was the horrible terror attacks that Hamas has produced. But then afterwards, we have witnessed a series of military interventions by Israel in Gaza. The Hamas also committed several violations of international humanitarian law, and there is the absolutely horrendous question of the hostages. But it is clear that what's happening in Gaza is totally unacceptable. Fortunately, the institutions we have shown an enormous difficulty in making sure that accountability takes place.
The European Central Bank is almost certain to cut interest rates again on Thursday, but with inflation risks simmering despite anemic growth, investors will be combing its message for clues on further easing. The ECB lowered its deposit rates to 3.75% in June, and an array of policymakers have already backed another cut, suggesting the debate is likely to focus on how quickly borrowing costs need to fall in subsequent meetings. The likely outcome is that ECB President Christine Lagarde will stick to the bank's recent narrative that decisions All right, let's go over to Bharat Mandapam, where the Prime Minister is currently going to plant a sapling. This is at the second Asia Pacific Civil Aviation Ministers Conference that the Prime Minister is at. So the Prime Minister remotely, through the remote, in a virtual fashion, he commemorated the 80,000 plantation of 80,000 saplings. He is currently at the second Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation. So these are the visuals of the Prime Minister planting a sapling, but that was before, and on the World Environment Day he had shared his thoughts in his program. So where he had called for one tree for each one, so that Mother Earth can be protected. But the Prime Minister is here giving a message saying the second Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation can feature in the a more sustainable, green environment, where all over a total of 80,000 saplings were planted. Here after the bulletin just come. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez met with Venezuelan presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez and his daughter at the Moncloa Palace. Gonzalez had taken refuge since Sunday there. Immediately after his departure, a majority of lawmakers passed a symbolic motion saying that he won the July 28th presidential polls, which is not recognized by the Spanish Prime Minister. The debate between U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump drew a stunning viewership, far surpassing the 51 million who watched the June debate between President Trump and President Joe Biden. Media research firm Nielsen announced that an estimated 67.1 million television viewers tuned in to the first debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. TV viewers aged 55 and older made up the majority of the audience, accounting for 41.3 million of those who tuned in. People aged between 34 to 54 made up about 16.9 million viewers, while those aged between 18 to 34 accounted for 6.5 million. By comparison, the series finales of the popular U.S. sitcom Seinfeld and Friends attracted 76.3 million and 52.5 million viewers, respectively. In the last leg of his 12-day trip of Southeast Asia, Pope Francis held a mass in Singapore's National Stadium on Wednesday. Earlier in the day, he had also interacted with the political leaders of the country. Residents in various cities of Bolivia protested against laws validated clearing a land by burning, demanding the government to repeal them. This may help in bringing wildfires under control by the government action. The wildfires in Bolivia have destroyed over 4 million hectares of land, threatening livelihoods and wildlife. News updates from the Asia Pacific now. The race to become Japan's next Prime Minister kicked off on Thursday with a record 9 candidates, including the son of a former premier and nationalist, vying to be the country's first woman leader. Whoever wins the Liberal Democratic Party leadership contest on September 27th will succeed Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, whose 3-year term was tarnished by scandals while voters struggled with inflation. Here are the leading contenders based on public opinion polls. Shigeru Ishiba, the former defense minister, is making his 5th and says final bid to lead a party that has governed Japan for the most of the past 7 decades. Shinjiro Koizumi, he is the youngest candidate. Koizumi is the son of a former prime minister and heir to a political dynasty that has held a hand in governing Japan for over a century. He's presented himself as a reformer, able to restore public trust in a party mired in scandals. If elected, he would become Japan's youngest prime minister in 8 decades. Sanae Takaichi, who's 63-year-old, represents the LDP's right wing. Takaichi serves as Japan's economic security minister. She is known for her conservative views, including revising the pacifist constitution. Taro Kono, with the support of the rank and file of the LDP members, Kono is leading leadership candidate in 3 years. Was the leading leadership candidate 3 years ago, but lost in a runoff to Kishida. He has drawn attention for suggesting that Japan deploy nuclear-powered submarines to guard maritime choke points in the waters around the country. And Yoko Kamikawa is Japan's current foreign minister. She is also in the running. So these are the candidates, the 8 candidates in the running for Japan's next prime minister, as Fumio Kishida has decided to end his term. 27th of September is when the voting takes place, and whoever takes up the LDP's leadership, they become the next prime minister of Japan. North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles off its east coast on Thursday. Seoul's Joint Chief of Staff said that it had detected multiple short-range ballistic missiles launched into the East Sea, also known as the Sea of Japan. Japan's Coast Guard said the missiles appear to have landed outside Japan's exclusive economic zone, and there had been no reports of damage. This is the first such launch by North Korea in more than 2 months. North Korea last fired a missile in July, but has been sending balloons carrying trash across the border into the south over the last few days. The Japanese government has strongly condemned North Korea after Pyongyang fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles. Speaking at a regular news briefing, Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary said that North Korea's development of nuclear missiles is a threat to the peace and security of our country.
North Korea's development of nuclear missiles is a threat to the peace and security of our country and the international community, and it is absolutely unacceptable. Regarding this launch, we have made a solemn protest through diplomatic channels in Beijing, and we strongly condemned it.
Thailand has deployed military special forces in the northern province of Chiang Rai after severe floods stranded locals in various places. Helicopters have been deployed by government to carry out an aerial survey of the situation. At least 9 people have been reported dead, and over 22,000 households have been affected by recent floods caused by Typhoon Yagi. The floodwaters filled the houses, forcing residents to take shelter on roofs, fences and other places. Rescue teams have been working to bring stranded people to safer locations, as well as providing aids to them. SpaceX Polaris Dawn crew conducted first private spacewalk a short while ago. Billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman and SpaceX employee Sarah Gillis stepped out of the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule for the first ever private spacewalk. SpaceX launched private crew on breakthrough spacewalk mission using the company's new space suits and a redesigned spacecraft. A billionaire entrepreneur, a retired military fighter pilot, and 2 SpaceX employees were launched from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida aboard SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule, the spacecraft's 5th private space mission. India's veteran CPIM leader Sitaram Yechury passed away on Thursday at the age of 72. He had a prolonged illness. He had been receiving treatment for acute respiratory tract infection at AIIMS since August 19th. CPIM announced the passing away of General Secretary Sitaram Yechury via X, stating, and I quote, "It is with profound grief that we announce the passing of our beloved comrade Sitaram Yechury at 3:03 p.m. today, that's September 12th, at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. He was suffering from respiratory tract infection which developed complications," unquote. What a legend Sitaram Yechury was. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi met and greeted India's Paris Paralympians at his residence in New Delhi on Thursday. Prime Minister Modi was seen interacting with para-athletes, listening to their success stories from Paris during the meeting. India won as many as 29 medals in an historic Paralympics campaign, bettering their previous best tally of 19 from Tokyo in 2021. India stood at the 18th position in the points table with a total of 29 medals, including 7 golds, 9 silvers and 13 bronze, highlighting the tremendous progress and dedication of India's para-athletes on the global stage. Well, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on your screens right now to download. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh. From all of us, my entire team here in Delhi, thank you for watching DD India Live.